سيدنا محمد وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. I've planned a couple of short lectures regarding the topic of arrogance and pride. Inshallah, this is the first of this couple of speeches, and in a way we'll be introducing arrogance and pride and see what the Quran and Allah have to say about arrogance and pride. Now, we're told that if you are a true mu'min, if you're a good person, a wise person, that you will be able to learn and take a lesson from everything. So whatever you see, whatever you hear, whatever you encounter, you should be able to take a lesson from it and learn something from it. Now some people may question, okay, we understand that if you see something good, that you can take a lesson from it. If you hear something good, that you take a lesson from it. But what happens if you see something bad or you hear something bad? Can you still take a lesson from that? And the answer is yes. There's a Persian saying which goes like this, that when they asked a well-mannered person, who did you learn your manners from? These good manners that you have, where did you learn it from? He said, I learnt it from the bad-mannered people. Is it possible that you learn good manners from bad-mannered people? And he says, yes, I learnt what not to do. What I saw them doing, I disliked. I said, this is bad manners. This doesn't look good. So I'll make sure that I don't repeat this action or these words or so on. So you can learn from bad things or bad people or bad encounters. You can learn how not to be. We can even learn from the devil, from Shaitan. Satan was the first being to ever feel the bad characteristic of pride and arrogance. This was the very sin that caused him to be refused from the heavens, to be banished from the heavens, which we will come to see, inshallah. Now, there are three kinds of pride or arrogance. The first kind is that arrogance towards Allah. So it may be disobeying His orders. It may be thinking that you're better than Him. It may be thinking that you are, in fact, God, like some of the previous rulers of the time, like for instance, Nimrod, Pharaoh, and many other people that we have their stories in the Quran. These people displayed an arrogance towards Allah, which caused them to fall and to fail. The second kind is arrogance towards the prophets and the imams, people of a very high status and authority. And the third kind of arrogance is towards other people, your fellow human beings, brothers and sisters in humanity. Now, people who have arrogance and pride like to think and believe that they feel that they are better than others. They feel that everything they have achieved is down to their own capabilities. They overlook the fact that Allah has helped them to gain such things in life or such positions in life. They don't look at it as blessings, that Allah has granted you with such a talent, that you have been able to progress in this manner due to Allah's allowing you to progress. So this kind of arrogance, they see themselves higher than Allah. They say, I've done everything. And you see it and you hear it in people's, the way they talk, the way they act. The very fact that they say, for instance, I've done this and I've achieved that and everything is I. As opposed to, Allah has granted me this, or Allah has allowed me to achieve this. People with arrogance and pride will often look at their wealth and property or their status and feel they are above others. And due to this refusal of Allah or Allah's position, because they believe that they have got there through their own work and their own capabilities, they've gained this property or this wealth via themselves. This refusal to believing or accepting or acknowledging that Allah is there and Allah is supreme and it's in fact Allah's blessing that we have got to such a position, these people only shroud their hearts with the darkness of disbelief in Allah. Now, what does Allah have to say about these people? We've seen how they act, how they talk, what they feel and think. Let's see what the Holy Quran has to say about such people. In Surah number 40, verse number 56, Allah says that there is naught in their breast but a desire to be great or to become great, which they shall never attain to. Allah here is saying that there is nothing in their hearts, in their chests, in their breasts. There's nothing except the desire to be great, to be someone big, someone wealthy, someone important. But Allah says that they shall never attain it. Try all you like, but you'll never get that position. This arrogance, this pride that you feel you are great, that you just want to be better than everyone else, Allah says, have it, but you'll never attain that greatness. Try all you like. Does that mean they only fail in this world? Does that mean that they try really hard but they fail to reach that status in this world only? Worldly gain they lose out on? No. In another verse in the Holy Quran, this is chapter 16 verse 22, Allah says that, so as for those who do not believe in the hereafter, their hearts are ignorant and they are proud. In other words, what does the hereafter have to do with anything? Why should, for instance, Allah here say that as for those who do not believe in the hereafter, then their hearts are ignorant and they are proud? He's saying that because they are ignorant and proud, they don't believe in me. They don't thank me for anything. They don't think that I have helped them to gain this position. So due to this, then they don't even believe in the hereafter. When you don't accept Allah, why should you accept the hereafter? Why should you accept a judgment day and a hellfire and a heaven and so on? So Allah is saying that not only do they not attain their goals in this life to become great and of status, but they also miss out on the hereafter. So they lose out in both worlds. They don't gain anything from this arrogance and pride. You see, at the beginning I mentioned the devil, and I said that Satan was the first person to have such arrogance and pride. And he had all three kinds. His arrogance was shown not only as an arrogance towards Allah because he refused to bow down to Adam, but his arrogance was also towards the prophets and imams, because Adam, ala nabiyina wa alihi wa alayhi salam, he was a prophet, the first prophet. So not only did he have arrogance towards Allah, but also towards a prophet and also towards others, because Adam was also another being. So he had arrogance towards others. So he had the highest kind. He fulfilled all three categories of arrogance and pride. It's a shame. It's a real shame, because before this, he was the nearest to Allah. He was named Azazil, which some say comes from Aziz, which means a dear one of Allah. That Allah had named him Azazil. This is hadiths saying such things. Yet, where did he end up? He ended up banished. He ended up the most hated one amongst Allah's creation. From being the one who speaks for the angels and addresses them regarding Allah, praising Allah, teaching the angels about Allah, he becomes the worst of the worst. from the highest of the heights to the worst of the worst. Arrogance and pride is something that we can't hide from. That we shouldn't think that as long as we become better beings, then we are safe from arrogance. If anything, the better we become, the more susceptible we are to arrogance and pride. Azazil, Satan, he was the best being towards near Allah, as I've just mentioned. Yet we see how he failed so miserably in this department, where he felt that I should be the one that people should be bowing down to. Why Adam? Who's Adam? The Imams have said that arrogance and pride is a fire that eats away at our faith. The same way that fire eats wood, arrogance eats away our faith, our belief. It's an illness of the heart, and a very dangerous illness, something that can ruin even the highest of beings, as we've seen. When Allah ordered Satan to bow down, his arrogance was shown through his words and his actions. First, he refused to bow down, and then he spoke up and said, in the Holy Quran, chapter 15, verse 33, he said that I am not such that I should make obeisance to a mortal who thou hast created of the essence of black mud fashioned in shape. In other words, what's Adam? Adam's some mud, some black mud that you just made. Why should I bow down to him? I am not such. Look at his words. He says, I am not such that I should make obeisance to such a mortal. His arrogance was shown through his words, through his actions, that why should I bow down? I'm not bowing down. He should bow down to me. This is what the Quran has to say about it. And there's a beautiful story about how it got to that stage, which inshallah in a future lecture I will address this. How it even got to the stage where Allah asked Satan to bow down to Adam and he refused and so on. Now, I want to finish by just mentioning that pride is something that will hide itself in the most unsuspecting corners. That we can't think, as I mentioned before, that as we get better that we are further away from pride. If anything, we are more susceptible to pride. Satan worshipped Allah for 6,000 years and yet he failed so miserably. The same thing can happen to me, the same thing can happen to you. It hides itself in such corners that we can never think of, so that it attacks us, it ambushes us, and within a second, within a action, within a word, we lose everything. Just the same way Satan did. You see, someone might be proud that they are proud. In other words, they have pride that they are proud. Whereas someone who is humble may also be proud. They may be proud that, look at all these proud people. I'm not proud. I'm humble. I'm low. I'm good. I don't think of myself as high. This itself is an arrogance. This itself is pride. But it's hiding itself. It's camouflaging itself in such a way that we would never think we are committing such a sin. We think that we are not arrogant, but the very fact that we think we are humble is arrogance. Someone may be proud that they are a non-believer. I don't believe in God. Who's God? I'm proud. I don't need a God. I am a God. You see? They may be proud that they are a non-believer. Whereas someone who is a devotee of Allah, someone who is a servant of Allah, someone who prays and fasts, may also exhibit pride in the fashion that they say, oh, I'm happy that I'm a Muslim, I'm a believer. This itself is pride, that they are proud that they are not one of the unbelievers. Look at these unbelievers. We are good, we are the Muslims, we are the faithful, this kind of thing. This itself is pride. To a non-believer or a believer. Someone who is a learned person with knowledge may be proud of his knowledge, saying that look at these people who don't have any knowledge, whereas me, I've studied so many books and I'm so proud of my knowledge. This itself is pride, that they see themselves higher than others because of their knowledge. Whereas someone who lacks knowledge, someone may exhibit pride due to their ignorance. They may feel that because they don't know anything, they are ignorant to the truth. This itself is a pride. Because they start believing themselves to be above everyone else. They don't understand the ways of life. So due to their ignorance, they become proud. So we see that pride is something that it camouflages itself very well. And we must be careful that we don't fall prey to this ambush. That we have to understand pride and arrogance in such a way and look at the previous examples that Allah has brought in the Quran of people who had arrogance and pride, and see what happened to them, see how they acted, see what got them into that position and what happened to them after, so that we may guard ourselves against such events. Inshallah, this has been a short reminder and introduction into arrogance and pride, so that we may guard ourselves further and not fall prey to this sin, to this characteristic that made the highest of the highs fall. Azazil, an alem for the angels, a speaker for the angels, a being that used to worship Allah to the highest degree, higher than all the angels. Yet look at where he is now. I pray to Allah, I seek refuge in Allah, that we do not become like this, that we guard ourselves from such characteristics, inshallah. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ahli bayt at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.